in the Withlacoochee Forest, hidden in a cave, sits the all-knowing Lone Wolf, taking names, taking a bite out of the propaganda machine. Well, we've moved. You see our old location. We are no longer there. We have found another hideout. It's important to note that the move's taken several months, but we're back on the air.
Territory. There ain't nobody out there gonna mess with me, 'cause I'm big and hard and battle scarred and getting long in the tooth, desperate and hungry and got nothing to lose. Yeah, I'm a lone wolf. I've been chased, I've been bit. Yeah, I'm a lone wolf. They like to shoot at me.
Yes, we're back on the air. A lot of things have happened since we've been off. This is the month that's coming up. This month is November, and the 22nd is the 50th anniversary of the JFK assassination. A very sad time in our history. A time that will live in infamy, and a time that I, the Lone Wolf, will show is how what gave those conspirators the gumption to do 9/11. It's the same bunch of people, folks. The same bunch of people. There are all kinds of proof, there's all kinds of videos, all kinds of proof out there. All you got to do is look it up. But basically, for anybody who has any doubts, I know for a fact that a wide segment of Washington was involved. The FBI Director, J. Edgar Hoover, Lyndon Baines Johnson, and a whole slew of characters from the Bush family, George Bush. Back in those days, he was just the operative within the CIA, but he was there. The evidence is overwhelming. All you really have to do is look. And there are those out there who will try to discredit, and there's going to be those that this, that, and the other thing say, but the fundamentals, it's there. It is there, and you can try to turn it upside down and do whatever you like, but it's there. And basically, if you go to ioncitrus.com and look at our we're in association with Ion Citrus. You go there, and on our YouTube channel, you're going to see all kinds of revealing, informative videos about the JFK assassination, 9/11, and many other things. The point is, if they got away with murdering JFK, a man of peace, and they did it in front of millions of people, well, not in those days, it was just the local, television and in Dallas and the people there, but basically, ultimately, it was in front of millions. And that gave them the gumption to do 9/11. 9/11, where basically the inside job of this century and killing JFK was the inside job of the last century. It's a horrible scenario. That's the way it is. Truth is often stranger than fiction. And this is the ultimate truth. The winners write the history books. The losers don't have much say, and it's up to us to step forward and let the truth never die. So you can go and watch those books, those videos, and you can see what we will have better presentations in the future, but we wanted to get this thing on the air, basically. At one point in time, we were going to give an elaborate JFK analysis, in fact, building our own documentary, but many people have done it, and the truth is out there. The truth is out there. You just have to look. I'm going to bring up one important video, which I had been searching for a long time, and it really demonstrates how Johnson was in on the assassination plot. They all actually met in Dallas, or in the suburb of Dallas, the evening before. Hoover, Nixon, Johnson. Oh, here's a tidbit. They actually, when the Watergate conspiracy came along, and those missing tapes of everything was recorded in the White House, and for anybody who doesn't know it, during that whole debacle, there's a 18-minute gap in the White House tapes that the Secretary of President Nixon inadvertently erased. Well, the truth be told, that 18-minute gap in that tape actually had to do with them talking about their involvement in the assassination of President Kennedy. And Nixon always referred to that as the Bay of Pigs, involved in the Bay of Pigs, which was completely different name for the Kennedy assassination. That's how he referred to it. Nixon was the protege, the hand-picked successor to Eisenhower, but unfortunately, he lost the election by 0.2% to John F. Kennedy. It was a glorious day for John to have won, because he truly was the people's president. He truly was a man that would have given the American people the say that they no longer get, and I've never really gotten after that. If anybody had ever read his Pulitzer Prize book, Profiles in Courage, you would understand what John Kennedy was about. That book is about individuals who didn't just go along with the flow. They stood up for what was right. And that's what JFK was about. All he ever voiced about was peace. And a little that you all may not know this, but he actually prevented a nuclear holocaust with the Cuban Missile Crisis. This had the potentiality of wiping out the east coast of the United States because Cuba did, in fact, have missiles ready to launch in Cuba, Russian missiles, and the officers there were on orders if they were attacked, they were to launch them. So, it's all in the history, my friends. It's a sad day, this November 22nd coming up. But let's become aware. Let's prevent anything like that to happen again. Let's prevent future coups, future false flag operations by getting the word out, taking the country back from this corporate rule, and putting these criminals that are still alive from the JFK assassination and that are still walking the streets from the 9/11 false flag operation. Let them have their reckoning. May that day come sooner rather than later. You know, in ancient Rome, the Caesars would have Caesars had different historical backgrounds. Some of them were, alright, and some of them were really cruel. But you know what? They all wrote their own history. And it wasn't until hundreds of years later, 300 or 400 years later, that the authors of historical Rome reveal their true misdeeds. And I hope that it won't be hundreds of years later till the truth comes out about the Bush family and all the criminals associated with it, going back to Prescott Bush and his involvement with Adolf Hitler during the Second World War. I'm going to see if I can bring up the video, if I can figure out how to bring it back up here, of JFK, Johnson, introducing JFK.
Lyndon Johnson. I know that anything I would say would be anticlimactic in the light of what this lovely, gracious lady has said. But I know that I speak for all of you when I say that we are very proud and very happy that we can have our beloved President and our First Lady with us here this evening.
We're going to switch gears for a moment and let you folks out there know that the possibility of something really big is coming along on November 13th and or 14th. This is an alert from the Lone Wolf. Within a few short days, the power companies across the United States, North America, are scheduled to have a test. And this test is to shut down all the power to see how well communities respond to the power outage. This is nationwide, nationswide. And this is this article from August 2013, August 16th, on the New York Times. As worries over the power grid rise, a drill will simulate a knockout blow. Washington. The electrical grid, as government and private experts describe it, is the glass jaw of American industry. If an adversary lands a knockout blow, they fear it could black out vast areas of the continent for weeks, interrupt supplies of water, gasoline, diesel fuel, and fresh food, shut down communications, and create disruptions of a scale that was only hinted at by Hurricane Sandy and the attacks, the false flag attacks of September 11th, which just happens to be the same day they also were having tests that actually mimic the supposedly attack that happened. Imagine that. This is the Lone Wolf warning you, whether or not you want to believe this or not, whether or not you think it will happen, you should be made aware of it. We don't know if it's going to happen, but if you want to go to check it out for yourself, you're welcome to it. Go to the NewYorkTimes.com, or actually just Google it. If you Google it, it'll be, there's quite a few sites that picked it up, but it's, what I Googled was electric grid shutdown November 2013. So it's supposed to happen November 13th or 14th, or possibly both days. So be wary. Who knows what's coming up? Yeah, and we found on the NERC.com site a PDF file where they had the results of their tests they did in 2011. So it's the GridX, NERC, Grid, AAR, final conclusions of the test they did on 11. And in the conclusions, they actually mentioned the upcoming, after participating in Grid X, a subsector is better positioned to effectively participate in future industry and government-sponsored exercises like Grid X 2013, which they refer to as Cyberstorm 4. So that's what's coming up, folks. It's where the grid is supposedly hacked and gets shut down. And reminder, National Geographic, about 3-4 weeks ago, had a show, regular, documentary or a movie called American Blackout. Same thing. They're interesting. Check it out. We're going to go back to our playlist here and give you a short segment of a former physicist from NASA who no longer works for them. He has a presentation on shortwave or ham radio once or twice a week. But in this clip, he's talking to George Norrie of Coast to Coast. And it's about a nearly 3-minute clip, but it's interesting. So you have a listen.
Well, according to Professor James McCanney, there's going to be a simulated power outage that'll cover Canada, the U.S., and Mexico, and that it's scheduled for November 14th. Let's check in with the professor and find out why. James, what's going on here?
George, this is an extremely huge story. I cannot even believe it. But the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, called NERC, N-E-R-C, is hosting, it's called Grid X2. It's scheduled for November 13th to 14th. And international, originally I thought it was Canada, U.S., and Mexico. It is now encompassing more countries in the world, I'm finding out. It's a planned electrical grid outage simulation where they call players. These are government agencies, power companies, companies that sell products, vendors. So it includes a wide range of what they call players, but the information will be then fed to security agencies like Homeland Security, the FBI, local police agencies. Clearly, what they're planning here is crowd control. Nowhere in their plan do I see any effort to fix the grid, to prepare to fix the grid, to have equipment on hand to fix the grid. It is simply an exercise in crowd control and keeping the public in some kind of a, what I see is preparing the public for martial law. Now, this is an exercise, but oddly enough, the day they've picked, November 14th, is the same day when Comet Ison has a perfect direct linear electrical alignment with the planet Mercury and begins its dive into the sun, where it could have solar flaring occurring. Now, to make the story even stranger, NASA has been pounding with its little outreach people that comets cannot affect the sun. But they're fully expecting, and now this is the stranger part, congressmen, congresswomen, and Janet Napolitano, I believe it's pronounced, the ex-head of Homeland Security, is stating we have 100% imminent chance in the near future of a solar flare taking out our grid system.
Well,
and
that's something.
The odd part is that we are in the lowest ebb of solar cycle in 200 years. Anyway, George, this is a very strange story, but that's what's going on.
All right, keep watching this one for us, James. Thank you.
Okay, that was James McKinney, I believe, and this show was actually taped quite a while ago. But we're going to bring you up, let you listen to the Truther Girls, a young lady from Toronto, Canada, whose name is Sonia, and she has a Truther Girls channel, and we are going to have her take on this, and then we will respond.
The Truther Girls.
Hi, everyone. Well, I got a couple articles that I'd like to bring up and share with you. Could there be a false flag power outage coming soon? America blackout and grid shutdown in 2013. So apparently the American government is planning to do a massive drill that would center around the scenario of there being a nationwide power outage November 13th and 14th. And so some people are really concerned about this and are thinking, maybe they're actually going to shut down the power and do like a false flag, like maybe a hack attack, but it would all be staged. And I know they have a track record of running drills when they do false flags, but that doesn't mean every time they run a drill it's going to be a false flag. I really don't think that the Illuminati wants the grid to go down, because if you think about it, you have this corporate-run government in the United States. Like, the people who are in the government are actually puppets serving the interests of corporations, and those corporations want to make money. So I don't think they want to shut the whole grid down, because then they're going to lose money. So if a puppet did that, they'd probably say bad puppet.
Okay, well, you heard her take on it, and there are facts. The Washington Post had an article about this grid shutdown, and McKinney had mentioned that this is actually the low point in ebbs and solar flares in 200 years. Well, since he made that presentation on George Norrie and Coast to Coast, that's actually changed the last couple of days. We have actually had X flares occurring on the planet from the sun. X flares are the higher gauge solar flares, which can have catastrophic effect on Earth. The X flares that went off are still not to the degree that the one back in 1800 and something that burned down the telephone wires and what have you. But I guess the possibility could be there, and McKinney said that the comet Ison crashing into the sun would have some sort of effect. I have no idea if that would be true or not. But Sonia's take on corporate America, a lot of folks who I've spoken with believe that's probably true, or this probably would not be the case, and we can only hope, because if you don't have a backup power plan, then and this power outage is longer than 10 minutes, half an hour, what have you, you're pretty much screwed. And some folks more than others. And I find it ironic that a few weeks before this event that's coming up that's supposed to take place, National Geographic Channel on cable had the show American Blackout. And with that show, they portrayed that there was a hacker who got into the grid system and actually shut down the grid. And they were unable to start restoring the electricity across the country until 10 days later. Needless to say, those in the cities suffered much more than those folks out in the country, because country folks, they have the ability and they're situated so that they can take care of themselves. But people caught in elevators, any kind of electrical device, they're pretty much screwed. So whether or not you take this seriously or not, who knows? But another aspect that my better half brought to light was that, a lot of people have said that corporate America really wouldn't like it, and they do control the country. But say perhaps somebody in government was actually trying to get the keys back from the in-house from the Fox. This might be their opportunity to do that. Or it might be another opportunity to put all of us, a majority of us, into FEMA camps. Hard to say. But after this presentation, we're going to go out and put some money down on a generator and hopefully get it paid off before the big days. So all we can say, folks, is hasta la vida, baby, and maybe next time we see you, we'll have the answers to these and many other questions. Keep your sunny side up, dirty side down. Keep your nose between your ditches and the smokies out of your britches.
Territory. There ain't nobody out there gonna mess with me, 'cause I'm big and hard and battle scarred and getting long in the tooth, desperate and hungry and got nothing to lose. Yeah, I'm a lone wolf. I've been chased,
have a good Saturday, folks, and lock and load them if you got them.
And I ain't never